What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is the Real Housewives of Potomac Season 5, Episode 10. So, I guess we can call this the aftermath, the sit down, the morning after, however you want to look at it. The fight is over. It's been 5 days, and Monique has asked Karen to set up a sit down with the ladies minus Candace, and of course, Karen said she would do it. Her place could be a neutral place. Candace said she's still dealing with the blowback, the aftermath, the trauma of the whole situation. She said Monique has not called her yet to apologize or acknowledge. And, she just, feels some kind of way about the whole situation. Wendy feels some way about the whole situation. She's turning this into a whole indictment on black women. Robin feels some way about the whole situation. We know Giselle feels some way, and she's actually talking to her girls about it. And why they keep making them do to wear that New Birth sweatshirt every episode? Why she gotta wear that New Birth hoodie, child? Anyway, and she's talking to the girls about it, and they look like they were so unbothered and so uninterested. And I don't feel like that was a conversation to have with your girls. I understand knowing that episode is going to come out, but hell, you wasn't involved in no fight. I just feel like that was adult business, but whatever. Now, Karen, I thought was interesting. Karen called Candace to give her an opportunity to come. And I don't know if she was calling her to give her an opportunity to come speak with the ladies after Monique did or before Monique did. Because it was clear that Monique didn't want Candace there. And I don't think it was a good idea for Candace to be there anyway. So I wasn't sure about that. That kind of threw me off a little bit. But Candace was like, she didn't really have nothing to say because she had talked to everybody. She said, listen, I've had a conversation with all the women. Like, we've talked. So, I don't really have nothing to say, but, thanks for calling me. And she was like, I'm not understanding why you're extending so much grace to Monique. But in that moment, I don't think it was so much Karen extending grace as it was Karen allowing the conversation to take place at her home so that they could clear the air. I mean, I think a conversation needed to happen. I'm not understanding so much what Candace expected Karen to do. And Karen was like, listen, this is what I do. I'm a gracious person. Like, both of y'all are my friend, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to say what she needs to say. I don't see where that's wrong. But Candace seems like the kind of person that it's an all or nothing, and she wants her to choose. And I already see that that's going to be an issue. Now, it is clear that we are dealing with two camps here. It is clear that Robin, Wendy, and Giselle are on one side. Ashley and Monique and Karen are on the other side. And again, that's going to be an issue. So, the ladies arrive one by one. And that extra ass, Giselle, shows up with security. You were just being extra for no reason, Giselle. I know good and damn well they had security there. I know they did. I know they had security there. You ain't have to bring your own. And then you show up in that damn Mini Cooper. You had that big ass dude in that Mini Cooper. Girl, you could have at least rented a regular size car for his ass to get in. But it was extra. Even Robin was like, really, Giselle, you got security for real? So Monique gets there, and Monique's thing was, her biggest concern is that the ladies basically already have their minds made up and they won't hear her out. Now, for all of y'all who've been getting on me for the last 2 weeks because you feel like I've been defending Monique and I ain't been, and I feel like Candace was wrong or however y'all interpreted my words. Y'all, I guess y'all about to be happy because Monique, I feel like Robin. Monique went through her whole little explanation, and Robin said to Monique when she got done, Robin said, you almost had me. I felt that way about Monique. That is exactly how I felt. Poor Ashley had to show up with the baby because she said the babysitter's cancer child. So Dean is there, honey. Dean is there. Now, Giselle had Giselle had an attitude the whole time, and Giselle showed up ready. She wasn't there with open ears. I think Wendy did show up with open ears. I think Robin did to a certain extent as well. And like I said, Ashley and Karen are ready to forgive Monique and work through it and help them move on anyway. But I don't think there was anything Monique could have said that Giselle would have been happy with. The other conversation they had before Monique got there was Monique been tweeting, and one of the tweets Monique said was, "Asking you shall receive." The other thing was that the story got leaked to the blogs, and they were like, none of us told the blogs, and because the story was so one-sided, they believed that Monique leaked the story to the blogs, and they had a problem with that as well. Now, this isn't the first time Monique has been accused of leaking stories to the blog, so I can't say she did or she didn't. She's saying later on in the episode, she says that she didn't. She said that she only told one other person because she was trying to work things out, and that was about 4 days afterwards. And Wendy was like, oh, well, then the timing lines up. You said you told one other person 4 days later. Mysteriously, that's when the story hit the blogs, was 4 days later. And I was like, Monique, you might just need to just shut up. You're not really doing yourself no. Now, Monique started off by saying, there's no excuse for my behavior. I apologize. I lost it and I was wrong. That's just where you should have stopped. You just should have stopped there, Monique. You should have just said, there was no excuse for my behavior. I lost it and I was wrong. Let's go eat some pastries. Because the more you talked, the worse it got. And I'm with Robin. Robin was like, you almost had me. Because I felt the same way. In the beginning, I was like, all right, Monique. Okay, good. Yes. Yes. But she kept talking. First, she said she blacked out. She don't remember everything. But then, of course, y'all know Bravo shady ass. They showed Monique in the car going play by play of what happened. Play by play. Her version of the story is because Robin was like, your version of the story is a total lie. That is not what happened. She said Candace did not throw a glass at you. The glass that hit your face, Candace had white wine. What hit your face was red wine, and that came from the melee. What hit your face? That did not come from Candace. She was like, secondly, you already had your hands on her before she threw anything at you. And so then Monique's thing is, and then and Wendy brought up a good point too. Now I didn't like Wendy making this a whole indictment on black women and how we gotta hold ourselves better, and because Ashley even said, listen, do we hold men to that standard? Men go out here and fight all the damn time, and we say boys will be boys, like, and we keep it moving. But even outside of that, listen, this show is not the beacon for all black women. Like, Monique fucked up. And I like what Karen said. Now, Karen had to be prodded into saying it. I'm out of order. Let me keep going. Let me go back. So, Monique kept talking. And the more Monique talked, like I said, Monique started talking about blacking out. And she didn't remember this and she didn't remember that. And, you know, her anger was scaring her. And this, and this, and this, and that. So, immediately Giselle was like, well, let me take notes so I can remember what to say. And Monique was like, that's fine. I mean, you can be self-righteous if you want to. She was like, no, I ain't being self-righteous. I just want to make sure I know what I want to say. So Karen is taking notes. I mean, Giselle's taking notes the whole time Monique is talking. So when Monique is done talking, the ladies go around the room. And like I said, Robin kicked it off with the whole, you almost had me, but everything you just said was a lie. And Wendy had a valid point. Wendy said, okay, so you blacked out. When did you come back to yourself? And she said, well, you know, once I was in the back with the producer, but then I kept hearing Candace running her mouth. She said, okay, so then when you ran around the side of the barn to get to Candace and you were talking about you were going to kill her, you were with us. You knew what you was doing. Monique was like, oh yeah, I knew. Wendy was like, okay, now that's a problem for me. I don't blame you, Wendy. It's a problem for me too. And I said it in my review last week that I had a problem with that. I had a problem with Monique running her ass around that barn. And definitely I have a problem with her threatening to kill her. You know, like, come on, Monique. Like, and so Monique gonna say, Well, my adrenaline was still pumping. I mean, it's still pumping. I mean, have y'all ever been in a fight before? I've been in a fight. My adrenaline wasn't still pumping a week later. I don't know what kind of fighting you doing, Monique, that your adrenaline is still pumping. Because they said, well, did you call Candace and apologize? She was like, no. How are you remorseful and you haven't even apologized to the person that you assaulted? I don't understand that. So then when Giselle starts talking, Monique was very condescending to Giselle. She was very dismissive and very rude and very condescending. Now listen, Giselle ain't my favorite person in the world, but look, right is right and wrong is wrong. She was. And Robin had to cut it off and say, now listen, Karen, now you supposed to be somewhat of a moderator to this whole situation, and Monique is being very rude and very condescending, and you just sitting there and you letting it happen. And then finally Karen did interject and say, and she told Monique, she said, Monique, you my friend and I love you. She said, but you fucked up. You fucked up. And you're going to have to fix it. And you're going to have to stand in it and you're going to have to fix it. And so for that, I can appreciate in that moment. But it was clear that Karen didn't really want to get in it. She wanted to let other ladies talk. Ashley let let Monique know, I got your back. She was very soft in her words and very defensive of Monique and helping Monique through it. Giselle finally stood up and said, you know what, I am not comfortable around you. I am not safe and I no longer want to be around you. And Monique said, that's fine. You can leave, that's fine. And she got up and took her security and left, honey. Wendy once again went off on a whole tirade about when I'm on TV, people call me all kinds of N-words and they talk about my children and they do this and they do that, but I fight with my words. I fight with my words. Now, mind you, when Monique said, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been in a physical fight before, Wendy was like, I have. So you've been there, Wendy. Now, maybe you was 10, I don't know. But you've been in a physical altercation. Like, come on. So then we see Candace meeting with her therapist. And I think her version of the story was pretty accurate. I think she was pretty on point and pretty accurate in her version of the story. But what her therapist said to her was, do you think that there was anything do you think that you contributed to the situation at all? And Candace was like, no. Now, I do think Candace, I'm not saying Candace was wrong, but I do think Candace's behavior. Then he asked her, well, even leading up to it, do you think there's anything you could have done differently leading up to it? She said, once again, she said no. And then he said, well, if you could talk to Monique, do you have anything to say? And she said, no. Okay, well, that's where you stand. So, back to Karen's house. Like I said, Giselle done left, honey. The rest of the ladies are there. And Monique has now gotten into a defensive mode where she's trying to justify her behavior. Once again, Monique, your line was, there's no excuse for what I did. My actions were wrong, and I'm sorry. The more she talked, the worse it was. Then she started talking about Candace needs to be held accountable for what she did. And her talking trash isn't okay. And there is a point where people talk too much trash and, it becomes too much and it's too much to handle and it's too much to bear and Candace shouldn't have done this and Candace shouldn't have done that and, you can't get in my face and tell me to drag you and not expect me to do it and there's no excuse for my actions. And I was wrong. The more and more you talked, the worse and worse it got. Then she said, well, you know what? If this is how y'all feel, maybe I should not be a part of this anymore. And so she was talking about the show. And Ashley was like, well, maybe a temporary She said, well, maybe it's temporary, maybe it's permanent, but I need to talk to my pastor and I need to figure something out. Wendy told her, listen, prayer can't handle everything. You're going to have to go, basically telling her you need to go see some therapy or something. And Giselle brought up a good point. She talked about Monique over the years. And she said, listen, you got into the situation with Robin when you put the umbrella thing. And then last season, you threatened to drag Candace. And then this season, you did drag Candace. You threatened to punch me in my face. Like, now, again, I'm not going to go with the threats. Because, Giselle, you did go up in that woman's house and act a damn fool. Like, I would have wanted to punch you too. But her and the Robin situation with her and Robin, that was a lot. That was a lot when it happened. That was a whole situation. Ultimately, at the end, I think Monique is not, at least at that point, Monique was not ready to take responsibility for her actions. She still felt like she was somewhat justified in what she was doing or what she did. And even at the end, when Karen went to go hug her, and Karen was like, you were wrong, and we're going to get through this together. And she still was mumbling, but when you get in somebody's face, like, she was still finding a way to justify it. So, listen. That's all I got. That's all the episode gave me. At this point, you either team Monique or you team Candace, and I feel like the rest of the season, it's going to be the ladies in their separate camps. It looks like Karen is in the middle, having to make a decision, choosing between Candace and Monique, and it's going to be a whole thing. So anyway, that's what it was, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.